Flip the pocket out of the way and sew 2 parallel basting stitch lines across the front upper skirt tier. 1 stitch line 3/8 of an inch from the fabric edge and the other stitch line 5/8 of an inch from the fabric edge. When you attach the upper skirt tier to the bodice and your upper and lower skirt tiers to each other, your stitch line will be positioned between the 2 basting stitch lines. This will allow for more control over the gathers. If you'd like even more control, you can add a 3rd stitch line running along your seam allowance at 1/2 inch. Be sure to leave long thread tails at the beginning and end of both of your basting stitch lines. Flip the pocket out of the way and repeat this process across the back upper skirt tier. Gently pull on the bobbin threads of the basting stitch line. The fabric will begin to gather. Use your fingers to distribute the gathers around the front of the skirt. Once you have the front gathered, repeat this process on the back. With right sides together, pin the bodice to the upper skirt tier. Keep the bodice facing free and positioned out of the way. It will remain unsewn for now. Make sure to line up the side seams and the center front and center back notches. There's also a notch halfway between the side seams and the center front or center back notches. Aligning these notches will help you to evenly distribute your gathers around the skirt seam. If the skirt is too big, gently pull on the basting threads to create more gathers. If the skirt is too small, gently pull along the opening of the skirt to release some of the gathers. Once you're happy with your gathers, position your pocket bag over top of the gathers, positioned towards the front of the skirt, and sew together with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. The bodice facing should still be safely tucked inside the skirt, out of the way, as it's not to be sewn. Turn your work right side out, and if you're happy with the look of your gathers, you can finish the seam with a serge stitch, a zigzag stitch, or pinking shears, or because this seam will be encased inside your facing, you could just leave the edge raw. Allow the bodice facing to fall in its natural position and pin in place along the bodice skirt seam. Make sure to match the side seams and center front and center back notches. The folded fabric edge of the facing should be positioned slightly past the seam allowance stitch line. Once you have the bodice facing pinned in position, take the dress to your sewing machine and, working from the right side, stitch in the ditch to close the bodice. This will enclose the seam allowance inside the bodice, sandwiched between the facing and the shell. From the outside or right side of the dress, the stitches will be hidden between the seam of the bodice and the skirt, and on the inside, the stitches will look like an edge stitch along the bottom folded edge of the bodice facing.